right
Let's
into
talk
it.
about them.
Phoenix, just for a quick recap, we know the Phoenix Suns made the big trade. They got Bradley Beal in. They traded Ayton away. They got Nurkic. So this is going to be a very front-heavy squad with actually a lot of good bench depth. Let me quickly just pull up their roster, and then I'll let you guys go at it. But if we look at their roster in terms of what they have, Booker, Durant, Eric Gordon, that's kind of like an off the bench type of guy. Toby Watanabe, sorry, excuse me. I said Booker, KD, Beal, Grayson Allen. Is he on this? Yeah, he is on this team.
Yeah, he is. Dude, that's their huge free.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
There you go. They're the biggest offseason acquisition of them all, Grayson Allen.
Yeah, I mean obviously we'll talk about the end where we put them, but this is a team that's looking to win the championship. This is again Kevin Durant, Picasso 2.0. He failed in Brooklyn. Now he's back here. Guys, what are you making of this team? Is this team going to win the NBA championship? Because to me, this is NBA Finals or bust for the Suns. They cannot falter in the playoffs.
See, for me, I just don't see it. Like I get people see the big names, they see KD, Booker, and Beal, and think like this team has a bunch of talent. They should go super far. They should win it all. But it's just basketball is a lot deeper than just having as much talent as you can. Like you have to have people willing to do the dirty things, and 3 of their main guys don't really do the dirty things. So that's kind of a problem. You have to have, team chemistry. They built this team overnight, and I don't understand. You have to have an identity. Like they don't have an identity. I guess their identity could be we're going to outscore you, but like you don't even have someone to set the table for people to outscore. It's just ISO players. Beal is an ISO player. KD is an ISO player. Booker is their best like table setter who can get people involved. And so if he really if he can play that role while also still being a scorer, they might have, obviously it'll still be a crazy team offensively with Beal and KD ISOing, but they might have some team cohesion with him setting people up. I believe the talent's there, but with this team, I just have to see it to believe it. I don't like who they have defensively. I don't like the coach that they have. Offense to get this team going offensively. I just don't like a lot of things about this team, but I have to respect them because they have Beal, Booker, and KD. So I'll respect them and say they're a playoff team, but I'm not nearly as high on this team as everybody else.
Yeah, Brad, we're seeing the same thing here. Like this, I see it. It's obviously a championship quality team, in terms of what they're paying on the top end, right? It's not even a question. But this team's still like you're saying, Brad. It's just a lot of this stuff on paper does not actually mesh up as much as people like to think it does. This is the ultimate let's look at stats and box scores for the last 5 years and just start drooling at the potential of the numbers this team could put up. But again, that's not really what basketball is. I urge people who think Bradley Beal is this incredible player, go watch his season where he averaged over 30 points. The reason he was doing that was literally because he had no one else on his team who could even remotely make their own shot, right? And he was never even remotely looking to make a shot for those guys. So it was about the easiest 30 you could ask for in terms of just a consistent night in, night out basis. He had no competition to get there, and that team was awful. They were terrible. That's Bradley Beal in a nutshell, though. That's a lot of his career is that. He's kind of this era's good stats, bad team guy in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean,
beyond even just that. I mean, dude, this whole team, everything about this team, and I've said this all off season, it all hinges on Kevin Durant, who has not been able to stay healthy for the last 4 or 5 seasons. And if they do not have him, they're terrible. If he's out for even remotely an extended stretch, a month, 2 months, this team might not be in the playoffs. And I know that is a hard thing for people to hear, but they have no identity outside of the fact that they're going to be outscoring teams. That's all they can do. So if they're losing, if it's either Booker or Kevin Durant, if either one of those guys is out, I just don't see a universe in which this team is winning a lot of games. They're going to have the worst defense in the NBA. I feel very strongly about that. They have maybe 2 guys that are above average defenders on the whole roster. That's terrible. We're in an offensive era of the league, right? All the rules are in favor of offensive players. Like it, I don't know. Bernie, you go for it. This team kind of disgusts me. I really think that this is like a misunderstanding of what basketball is, and we've seen it at the highest level. Like throw money at a squad and just make all the trades we can like it's 2K, but with no actual plan as to building cohesion within your roster.
Yeah. I mean, the big issue that I have with this team is not necessarily, I think defensively they'll be okay, but really it's going to come down to the rebounding for me, because every team that KD has been on since he left the Warriors hasn't really had a rebounder to help get possessions. Because if you guys noticed in the last couple of years with both the Bucks and the even the Warriors to some extent, and even the Nuggets, who just won the championship recently, like all 3 of those teams were great rebounding teams. Like those 3 teams got second, third opportunities from missed shots of from their own that they missed, and then they get easy putbacks. And I think with the team, with the team in Brooklyn, and I don't want to compare the 2 teams, but every time Kevin Durant has moved to a new team, well, I guess maybe it's just only a second team that he's moved to, but you know what I mean, like where he creates the roster himself.
Sure.
He, I think, neglects the rebounding part of the game, because like you guys said, like offensively, if their shots are hitting and they're shooting like, I would say above 60% from the whole field, like, or 55, I would say, like, you're going to have a good time. You're going to make shots. Like there's not going to be opportunities to get those rebounds. But if those shots aren't hitting, that's defensive rebounds for the other team. They're going the other way. And defensively, if you don't have anybody, because even the injury history itself, like Nurkic is not someone that has shown in the last couple of years that he can stay healthy for a full season, just like Kevin Durant at this point. And so without the rebounding on both the offensive and defensive end, you're not creating second and third opportunities for yourself. You're also giving other teams those opportunities, which hurts you in the long haul. And I just feel like the Lakers and the Nuggets have a better constructed roster. As I'm kind of looking at teams that will be in the Western Conference Finals. Like those 2 teams will probably go to the finals, Western Conference Finals, because those 2 teams do the rebounding part of it. Whereas I feel like the Suns continuously, just because we know the injury history of a guy like Nurkic, like a guy like KD, they're going to struggle a lot and mightily, because I don't think Bradley Beal's going in there to get boards. He'll get the ones that like rip, the 3-point shots that, hit off and you're going to go chase them. But Booker's not getting them. Beal's not getting them. And none of these other guys are going to get it. And the other issue too is like, do you guys see a 3-point threat when those guys aren't on the floor? Like, the issue last year, and we talked about it before on the show with both of you guys, is like, without like a 3-point shooter along with these guys, let's say, they do a little bit of substitutions. If they don't have guys that can consistently hit the catch and shoot threes, their offense is null and void. And so that's also something that I'm curious to see what you guys think. Is there enough shooting in the perimeter to get that going?
I think they have too much shooting, to be honest. I feel like when they signed traded for Grayson Allen, their big, acquisition of the summer, they could have, instead of more shooting, they should have gone for more defense, because, I mean, they have Grayson Allen, who's a sniper. Damian Lee, he's a sniper.
Yuta, for sure. I mean, one of the best catching 3 shooters in the league. It's just not able to create it on his own,
Yuta.
As a boot
I really like Yuta. Like he's a legit 3-point threat. But the problem is he's not necessarily going to find his way onto the court with those other guys. And that's really like the best we've seen him play is when he's out there with a guy like KD, right? Where like the gravity of KD as a player is just completely leaving Yuta open. He's going to have to be out there with Grayson Allen and, like Dude, I legitimately just almost said Eric Bledsoe again. That is my flub of the summer, is calling Eric Gordon Eric Bledsoe. He's gonna have to be out there with Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon. Like that's not gonna necessarily open up a lot of like clear shots for guys like Yuta. So yeah, dude, I really don't see it. I really don't. I think that this team is gonna have a lot of growing pains throughout the season. Like I will say they're one of those teams where I think they're gonna be like a mirage team, right? Where they're gonna have a couple games, especially early on in the season when they're all fully healthy, where they put up like 155, 160, and people are gonna be like, "What the hell is going on with this team? They're unbelievable." But that is not sustainable, you know? And my biggest thing with this team, and this is my real final point for them, is like if they were in the East, I'd actually probably feel pretty different about them. I know the East is much more top heavy, like that's probably where the 2 or 3 best teams are, maybe 2 best teams are. But the West is so deep, man. Like they're not going to have easy nights very often. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. I think ultimately I think this team desperately needs a point guard. That's one thing. A point guard who actually plays defense. Like if they could get that, I actually probably would feel a little different about them. But I just don't see how they do that. They have no they have no value anywhere else on their team. They have no picks. They have nothing to do any improvements other than like buyouts. So we'll see what happens for them.
They're like a souped up version of the Bulls were like 2 years ago with DeRozan, Levine, and Vooch. Like if they had Alonzo Ball, I'm with you, Pete. I like someone that could pass and defend at a high level to tie this team. I'd
that
like
would really, really, really help them. But I don't see any universe in which they can get a guy like that for what they have.
Yeah.
Unless they trade Beal for something or someone down the line.
But nobody wants Beal.
Not on that contract. Not on that contract.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, let us know in the comment section down below, people. What do you guys make of it? I put them in playoffs. Are we good with that?
Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So let us know in the comment section down below. Phoenix Suns fans, are we discrediting them? Should we put them in the NBA champ tier list spot? Let us know in the comment section down below.